mean, they literally would have killed him. So it's like, are you going to be that loyal to people that stole millions of dollars from you? Like, you even forget about the baby mama. It's not like it was his wife anyways. Welcome back, everybody. So today I will be starting a new series on my channel, and it's called My Lawyer Take. So this series will basically focus on interesting legal situations, my perspective or my take, as you will, and I will be asking the audience what they think about these situations. I will be focusing on, famous people that go to jail or have been to jail in recent times, or maybe in jail as we speak. I will be focusing on other legal issues, if you guys would like COVID, George Floyd. I'm trying to keep it as recent as possible, but we might dive into older situations to kind of refocus ourselves on those situations and think about whether justice was actually served or so on. So this episode will basically focus on the rapper 6ix9ine. So I have some notes over here that I will be relying on. I kind of jot down my ideas with videos and stuff, and I kind of don't want to memorize every single detail. I'm assuming if you are watching this video, you know who 6ix9ine is, and you're kind of curious about what my take is, and I'm also curious about what yours is. I think the biggest question is whether you agree with what he did. And by that, obviously, I mean whether it was right for him to snitch. There's multiple perspectives in this. Whether, you take the logical path about how much time he would be serving, the fact that he has a kid. You might take the other perspective where it's kind of like street cred and the street code and what he should have done or should not have done. So this video kind of mixes things up. And I asked for you to join me in the discussion in the comment section by telling me what you think he should or should not have done. So basically, as some quick background, obviously, as pretty much all of you should know, Tekashi 6ix9ine was a rapper in New York, and he basically carried out different sort of crimes with his gang. And when it came to the actual trial and stuff like that, he kind of argued the fact that he wasn't ever part of this gang, and he kind of used the gang to build street cred, which would end up selling his music. And it's kind of like the gang used him and he used the gang. The gang would provide protection and stuff like that, give him street cred, all that good stuff, and he would basically fund the gang itself, but by providing money. So I believe it was last December he ended up getting sentenced to 2 years in prison, and it was basically only 2 years, essentially based on the fact that he snitched. So he pleaded guilty to racketeering, firearms, and drug trafficking charges related to several shootings and assaults around NYC. He also was sentenced to 5 years supervised release plus 300 years of community service because he has already served about 13 months behind bars. He was due to be released late this year, and obviously, as you know, he's already been released. In the judge's actual rulings, he quote-unquote talked about the actual extraordinary and substantial cooperation by Tekashi 6ix9ine. So it is very evident, by the years he got sentenced and by the opinion itself by the judge. The only reason he got such a low sentence was because of his cooperation and snitching. The judge actually does point out the fact that not only did he cooperate, he took the risk of cooperating, knowing that he could be harmed in the future once he was released. He understood that he was taking a risk by even talking to the government and stuff like that, and he probably would not be able to backpedal once he got out and do damage control to cover up the fact that he did snitch. And as you know, he has moved from like one house to another. I think he moved a couple of times at this point since he was out of prison. So he is trying to kind of protect himself at this point. So even though, you know, he's out of prison, it kind of goes to show you that he will pretty much suffer for what he did, even if it's not behind bars. Looks like the charge he would have gotten if he hadn't snitched was, it looks like he was going to get a minimum of 47 years and a maximum of life in prison. So the fact that he took the plea bargain and all that snitching and stuff, he basically got it down to I guess 2 years, and he was going to be released around November of this year. There are very polar opposite views to this. Some people are like, you know, as he's arguing, you know, he talked about how the so-called friends who were gang members slept with his baby mama. He talks about how much money was stolen from him, and how they kidnapped him at one point and stuff like that. So I think that's what makes it very interesting, because on one hand, it's kind of like, you know, he acknowledged the fact that he was going to use this gang for protection and stuff like that, and he was going to provide money, but then now he's kind of complaining that, you know, they ended up stealing money from him. So I think that was something that I think was pretty foreseeable either way, especially, you know, if he explains it the way he does. If all of that was true, then it was kind of evident that like he was using the gang and the gang was going to use him. He did all of this, and then later on he's like pointing his finger towards the other group, saying that, you know, they used me and stuff like that. It is interesting to think about. I think he does bring like a somewhat good point by that, saying, you know, it's like he did use the gang's name, and I feel like, if I'm being honest, I think we all could agree that he's probably lying and he was part of the gang, and this was kind of his lawyer's way of like drawing a line between him and the gang itself, to distinguish the two. So I almost feel like he was lying. So if you do look at it in the perspective that he was part of the gang and kind of just snitched out his gang members, it does make sense from the street code perspective, where like, you know, you kind of like live by the gun, you die by the gun type of attitude, where it's like, you know, if you were going to join this gang and all of that, then why would you snitch them out for things that happened? Because you kind of accept that street life essentially, and you can't cry foul after something goes wrong, and that's basically what he did. So I think that's a very good point. So the only, you know, counter argument to that in my mind is the fact that, you know, when you join a gang, you expect them to be loyal to you and vice versa. It kind of relies on loyalty, and, you know, if loyalty is not there, then obviously the entire gang might go down, and that's exactly what happened. So it is interesting to point out that, you know, the gang kind of seemingly turned on him first by sleeping with his baby mama, you know, stealing millions of dollars from him, going as far as kidnapping him, and it seemed like they had intent to kill him. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like the gang turned on him first, but the question becomes whether, you know, retaliating by literally snitching on everybody really justifies his actions. So yeah, that's where it gets kind of complicated. I think my perspective on this is, it's difficult to really say. Obviously this is called my take, so I'm sort of supposed to choose a side. It's an interesting situation, so it's almost like I want to choose one side, but I also want to choose the other. I feel like I lean only towards 6ix9ine by like a little bit, only because I felt like the gang turned on him first. But, you know, I completely understand, you know, you choose this life and you kind of live by it. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to exactly choose a side, and that's why I'm like only choosing 6ix9ine's side by like a little bit. You know, if we're talking about a scale from 1 to like 100 going one way or another, like 0 or 1 that he should have snitched and 100 being that he shouldn't have snitched, you know, I'm somewhere at maybe, you know, like 48. I think my thing is more focused on the fact that his gang turned on him first. If they did not turn on him at all, then, you know, there's no question about it. Like, he should not have snitched whatsoever, and him snitching kind of went beyond gang loyalty and stuff like that. So, you know, at that point it's kind of like, you know, you're definitely a rat, you shouldn't have snitched. But you know, the fact that I mean, they literally would have killed him, so it's like, are you going to be that loyal to people that stole millions of dollars from you? Like, you know, you even forget about the baby mama, it's not like it was his wife anyways, but you know, like, would you really be loyal to somebody that stole millions of dollars from you? And you know, now you're in prison, they kidnapped you, I mean, they literally would have killed you. I don't know, it's kind of like a sticky situation. Like, it's really tough to say, but you know, at the end of the day, in this weird way, it's kind of like all of the crimes that he was charged with, he actually partook in. So it's not like, you know, what happened outside of those crimes doesn't necessarily, you know, like, I mean, he partook in the crimes and then you kind of like pay your price. So it's kind of like, you know, beyond snitching or any of that outside stuff that happened. From that end, it's kind of like, if justice were to be served, then he should pay the price of everything he did, regardless of any like snitching involved, any of the kidnapping, you know, the baby mama thing, the millions, all that. It kind of, you know, that's more of like side stories to this main plot, which is the fact that he actually did commit all these crimes with his gang, and you know, he didn't pay the price like everybody else did. So from that perspective, it's kind of like, you know, it's not even about whether he should have snitched or not have snitched. It's more about how, you know, justice would have been served, maybe more so, if he actually paid the price for all the crimes he partook in with this gang. So yeah, anyways, thank you all for watching. More episodes are to come. I actually have notes on several other people. You know, I have it on Bobby Shmurda, for example. I have it on TK, which is a very interesting story. You know, I was gonna have my take on like legal issues during COVID, and I hope you guys remember to like, share, and subscribe.